can't colour in. So poems you can't colour in, basically there's a set of poetic texts that use words that don't contain the letters you can colour in. You know, that's about it really. Typographically speaking, I think they're called closed counters. So A has a sort of circle in it, capital A has a triangle in it, you can colour that bit in. Yeah. So A, lowercase a, B, D, E, G, etc. Uppercase A, B, D, not E, not G. You know those. So it doesn't use any of those letters. Where this comes from is because I was going to say I used to. I still like colouring in headlines on newspapers. Letters you can colour in, as well as drawing moustaches on the face. Oh. You know, you've got to do that as well. So in formal poetical terms, that's a lithographical constraint basically. I can't use those letters. And applying that to English, it creates a very restricted vocabulary. So what I've done is I've augmented that with some found words, with some made up words, with some words from other languages. And it creates a dialect which I've called English. So that's English without the G, which you can colour in, right? Makes sense, don't it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a text in English, which is in this book. It's rendered in this book. You thought, oh, you can colour that in. Well, you can't, because it's a stencil type font, which necessarily you can't colour in. And then I'm going to read the same text translated into English. The text is from the prologue and epilogue to a 1961 British science fiction apocalyptic film called The Day the Earth Caught Fire, directed by Val Guest. And it starred Leo McKern, who plays a newspaper reporter. In fact, it's filmed in the old Fleet Street offices. Much of the film is filmed in the old Fleet Street offices of the Daily Mirror. Interesting fact. Yeah, so forgive the inappropriate pronouns in the original. It's of its time. So this is the original. It's called A Poem About the Day the Earth Caught Fire. It is exactly 30 minutes since the corrective bombs were detonated. Within the next few hours, the world will know whether this is the end or another beginning, the rebirth of man or his final obituary. For the last time, man pursued his brother with a sword, and so the final fire was kindled. The earth that was to live forever was blasted by a great wind towards oblivion. It is strange to think. So man has sown the wind and reaped the whirlwind. Perhaps in the next few hours there will be no remembrance of the past and no hope for the future that might have been. All the works of man will be consumed in the great fire out of which he was created. But perhaps at the heart of the burning light into which he has thrust his world, there is a heart that cares more for him than he has ever cared for himself. And if there is a future for man, insensitive as he is, proud and defiant in his pursuit of power, let him resolve to live it lovingly, for he knows well how to do so. Then he may say once more, truly, the light is sweet, and what a pleasant thing it is for the eyes to see the sun. So now my translation of that into English. It's just 42 minutes since the curative missiles were gunned. Within the next few hours, the work would rise. If this is the finish, or another world, the world once of us, or us final snuff for the final time, us hunted, us kin with a shiv, and thus the final fire is a fire. The earth, which was to live for Jesney, was typhooned to nullity. It is uncanny to think. Thus has stroked the wind and hived the whirlwind. Thus
in the next few hours, no might of earlier, and no wish for the future which might have occurred. The works of us fully will cook in the husky fire from which us was furnished. Thus, in the insight of the fiery light in which us has thrust us world, is an insight which loves us further than us love us. And if is a future for us, unkind like us is, fiery and gutsy and us hunt for influence, suffer us to gisney it with love, for us nice, love, right, thus us will assert once twice, truly thy light is sweet, and the finest thing it is for us to see the sun. Thank you.